Another amazing resource that Google has is Google Keep. So, Google Keep, I've talked about in another video, where it's a place you can basically make digital sticky notes. And within those digital sticky notes, you can create labels and start grouping them together. So, I have these are my notes, right at the top, very, very boring. And then you move down, we've got getting some color, we've got some other things. But if you see, I've got labels: ending, feedback, leads. So I can label things that I find. So let's just go through and talk about what a note would look like. So if I go back to, I could do it on any of these, click on take a note. I'm going to put a title of practice note. So a few things that I want to make sure you see. Right here we have a pin. When you pin a note, it stays right at the top of your list. So it doesn't get lost in all of the ones below. It is pinned to the top. You can set reminders. So you can have, and this will work if you've got a cell phone, you have Google Keep on your phone. You can set reminders for a time or a place. If you give Google Keep the access to your GPS, I could say, you know what, when I go home today, I could put my address in, or I could put in for the grocery store I go to or wherever and say, hey, remind me when I hit this location. I can do that. So if I wanted to say Ruggles Lane School, I could click that and say, when I go to Ruggles Lane School, this reminder is going to pop up in my phone or on my computer, and it's going to tell me what I need to do when I get there. So that is an amazing thing that we need to start thinking about, is how can we take those reminders and use the technology the best that we can. So I'm going to get rid of my Ruggles Lane reminder for now. So across the bottom of this note, we have the few different things. We have remind me. And again, you can pick a place or you can pick a time. You can add collaborators, which is a really amazing resource. So you could share these with teachers. So let's say you have a bunch of notes you could share with teachers. You could have one going with students. So let's say Johnny is working with me and we are working on his writing goals. I could put that in there. So I've got a student account. I'm going to put my student account right there and I'm going to hit save. That student account is now linked to this note. You know what? I need to make a list for my students, for that student. I'm going to click those three dots and I'm going to say check boxes. The first thing that the student needs to do, they're working on, let's say, writing goals. So maybe they need to add more details, thought, in parentheses, at thoughts, actions, dialogue, to the beginning of your story. And then I'm going to hit enter and I can put another one. And then I'm going to say add punctuation to the beginning of your story. I'm going to leave it right like that. You know what? That's really boring. I can add that colorful. So I can make it blue. So maybe different students are different colors. Or you know what? All of my writing ones, I'll have that pencil background. So thinking about how can I use colors to help. So now let's say I'm that student. I'm going to go to my student account. I'm going to get there. I'm just going to hit my waffle. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hit Google Keep. It looks like a piece of paper with a light bulb in the middle. Hey, I've got a writing goal shared from my teacher. Huh. So you know what? I'm going to pin that one right to the top. But if you notice that color doesn't stay the same, so maybe that student says, you know what? All of the ones about writing, I'm going to make a pencil. Or all of the ones about teacher, I'm going to make it like that. So when that student goes, add more details, thoughts, action. Okay, I went in my writing. I did it. So I'm going to check that box off. But you notice how it doesn't delete the comment. It doesn't delete the check. So as a teacher, I can go back and say, hey, let's look at that for a second. So wait a minute. If I was a student and I'm working in a Google Doc, just a plain old Google Doc, have you ever noticed on the right hand side of your Google, they have these icons on the right side? One of them's Google Keep. So my student can see, oh, you know what? Let me look at my list again. So they can have those writing goals right next to them in Google Keep. So when he checks it off here, it says, yep, I added more detail. And I go back to my teacher account, it says he completed it. So that student and I can be tracking each other's goal work. And you know what? Maybe I leave him a comment after and says, hey, good job. And the next time we confer, I add another goal to him. Add more details to the middle of your story. Maybe I'm just chunking it down for that student. And then when that student goes back to their writing, okay, they're going to automatically get that teacher comment. So that's one great thing about Google Keep is when you're just working on goals maybe. That's one thing that you can do with students is you can have it so you share it with each other. Okay. So some more things about Google Keep that are awesome. When you go to take a note, you can change the color. You can add an image. And I've seen a lot of these through my research. People get very creative with this. Very creative. In on my website, I have some information about Google Keep, and one of the things is by Casey Bell. She does Shake Up Learning, and she creates pictures. So let me see if I can find it. Okay, so there's the personalized learning. She is the Shake Up Learning, so she does a lot of what she calls dynamic learning using technology to make your learning and your teaching more dynamic for students. So she, using Canva, created these pictures. So, like, there's notes for the first period, the second period, third period. You could have it for students' names, so it makes it easier. So, I do have this link in on my website, but I'll also put it in the caption for this video. So if you want to learn more about Google Keep and getting it personalized, because we like color as teachers, we like it to be fun and interesting. So pictures, you can also add images from you have them saved to your computer. Unlike other places in Google, you can't search the web from here, so it has to be something that is saved on your computer. You can archive these notes instead of deleting them. So let's say, you know what, I don't want to get rid of this, so I'm going to archive it, and they'll all go to this little file on the left side that says archive. So they're not deleted, they're just off your main page. So it gets a little less overwhelming, and that might be helpful for students when you're tracking goals is don't delete them, archive them. So then if we need them, we can bring them back again. We have our three dots, and we know with Google, those three dot means they're giving us more options. So we can add a label. With labels, that's the way of organizing all of your notes into different sections. So as you can see on my left side, I've got blended, as in blended learning. I started playing with different ways of doing feedback in another video that you can watch after about giving feedback to students, but having a bank of comments. So you're not always typing things over and over again. You can copy and paste them in. But having those labels, and you can actually very easily do it as you're putting it together. You can add a drawing, and I know a lot of our students have Chromebooks with touch screens now, so they would be able to draw something, whoop, or maybe they need to put it on a ruled piece of paper, have some dots, have a square, whatever they need to do. They could draw, highlight all of this stuff. There's so many options. And then when I just click the back button, it creates a new note. So I'm just going to close that. Now I have this note. I can title it whatever I need to do, but I can also, under those three dots, I can copy that to a Google Doc. If I tried writing something, I could try to put it into text. And one of my favorite things is those checkboxes. So, like when I was creating that to do list for my student, I hit those three boxes and I said, give me some checked items. Okay. So, there's a lot of ways that you can work with Keep to get yourself and get your students organized. So, let's say I am taking a note and I'm going to call this one student note. Okay. So I created their goals. I'm going to add their make check boxes, goal one, goal two, goal three. So I want to bring this to a certain student. What I can do is I add a hashtag. Just like Twitter or other places, when you add a hashtag, it's a way of organizing your thoughts. So if you are online and you put a hashtag, and as a viewer, I could click that hashtag and find all of the other people that have used that hashtag. So here, I'm going to put a hashtag and I'm just going to say, let's say, writing goals. That's my hashtag, writing goals. So now do you notice it pops up right here? And when I click on writing goals, that's where my student note is going to be. I can have more than one hashtag. So if I was doing writing goals, I'm going to add another label. Change labels. I want to do uh, class one. See, it gives me the option. I want to create class one. Now this one has two places where I can find it. So I can find it under class one, but I can also find it under writing goals. So if I want to have them located in two places, I can have them located in two places. So Google Keep is a really valuable tool when it comes to organizing your thoughts. And as a teacher, putting that feedback and those goals that students will be able to interact with, I think is really important. So go ahead, play with Google Keep, see what you can find. And if you have any questions, please reach out.